Still so lonely. Actually, I didn't. Actually, this one didn't start out me seeing Your Next by myself. Um, it was me. We went to go. We went to go see it at the smaller theater here in town. The theater that we typically refer to as the bad theater. Bad in that it's not on the best side of town, and it's really grungy and kind of dingy. But you know what? Honestly, truth be told, I do kind of like their screens better. I do sort of like their seating better too. The theater, the big one that we usually go to, has like stadium seating. The other one doesn't. And I kind of find the seating out at the one we were just at slightly more comfortable, I guess. I mean, I'm not terribly picky, but in watching a horror movie too, it is kind of fun watching it at the dingier theater. So yeah, all right. So it kind of makes sense we go see Your Next at that theater. So Dave and Sarah are at The World's End, and AMC, being annoying, showed The World's End at the 12-plex, and then Your Next at the other theater. To their credit, they showed them at the same time. It's just that they were at opposite theaters. I said it yesterday. I said it yesterday in the video where it was like, well, it was really nice of AMC to start doing this year-round. Kind of unfortunate they're being slightly annoying about it, but whatever. All right. So, and it wasn't one of those situations where I could have just sent, where they were both movies that I really wanted people to go see and give our thoughts on. It wasn't like one of them's like, oh, hey, this movie's playing at this theater that we all got to go see, and then the other theater is playing Admission with Tina Fey. Whatever. But, so, I was talking to Dave and Sarah a little bit on the phone. They said that The World's End was really, really damn good. So 10 o'clock was our screening for Your Next. And Brian and Off-Screen Letty showed up to watch it. They left halfway through the movie. They left halfway through the movie. They left halfway through it. So that tells you what they thought of the movie. Actually, honestly, full disclosure, one of them really was not feeling good at all. Like at fucking all. So it was very much largely due to an illness. But they were not having any of this fucking movie. But I do kind of like the fact that like let's say Brian left because it was really bad. He sat all the way through Medea's witness protection. Alright, I should start with my attitude going into this movie. The trailer for it, the full trailer, didn't necessarily sell me on the movie. I thought it was a very well put together trailer and used some pretty good music choices in the trailer. I thought it was a well-made trailer for a movie that looked like it would probably turn out really mediocre. Like just a standard home invasion type movie. And then the TV trailers started coming out that were really dumb, using stuff like Your Next, starring this house, this sheep, this goat, and this girl. What was that? Rated R. Oh, okay, well, it's rated R. I guess I'll give it that. Alright. So, I was not really looking forward to this until I started seeing some reviews for the movie. This thing is sitting, last time I checked, this thing is sitting at like an 88, like in the high 80s on Rotten Tomatoes. It was sitting, hell, earlier this week, it was sitting at a 90. And it wasn't even like it was like, oh, 90% of critics liked it out of like 5 critics who reviewed it. No, it was out of a fucking bunch, out of like 30, 40, whatever. It was a high number. It was a bunch of critics who saw it. This thing's sitting at like an 88, 90 fucking percent on Rotten Tomatoes. So then I'm like, well, okay, this might actually be pretty interesting then. All right, suddenly I'm actually kind of looking forward to seeing this. Let's see what it throws at me. And the guy who directed it, Adam Wingard, or Wingard, however you pronounce it, he's been hit or miss with me. He's behind both of the VHS movies, and neither one of those I really cared much for. But he did do my, by far and away, my favorite segment in the ABCs of Death, the Q is for Quack segment, which I thought was the funniest and best one of the whole movie. So I sort of went into this like, you know, maybe this will be okay. Maybe this will be all right. I must have spent the first half hour of this movie sitting there like, is this a practical joke? How in the fuck does this movie, how in the fuck does this have such high fucking praise, almost fucking unanimously, from people who have gone to go see this fucking thing? I sat there in the first part of it flabbergasted, like, this has gotta be a practical joke. It's either a practical joke or this movie gets fucking good in the next half hour of the fucking movie. But dear God, it was not setting itself up for that. And then it hit me. Once the violence started hitting, it hit me why this is getting fairly decent reviews. Because whenever there's a slasher movie that gets really good reviews, it's most always, 80% of the time, some post-ironic, cute, hipster horror bullshit. Like Scream. Like, hey, isn't it cute? We're being funny in a fucking slasher movie. One of the bad guys in this movie has a beard and a fucking tweed jacket and is a pacifist. You expect him to kill someone with a can of fucking PBR. It hit me right there like, okay, these are the same fucking people who probably liked Scream that are liking this fucking movie. The movie is... it's The Strangers crossed with Home Alone. It's exactly what it is. It's if in The Strangers they fucking booby-trapped the fucking house like Kevin McAllister in fucking Home Alone. That's what this goddamn movie is. The movie was really losing me in the first fucking part of it. Alright, the setup of the movie is, it's a home invasion movie. The most annoying fucking family you could fucking imagine gets together for their parents' anniversary. And during dinner, these animal masked wearing fucking mercenaries just start shooting through their house with crossbows, start picking them off with machetes, axes, all of that shit. That's it. That's the movie. That's the movie right there. And honestly, if I want to see something like this and have it be a lot more fucking genuine, I'll just watch something like Home Sweet Home or Blood Rage or something like that. Because at least those movies, while not terribly well made, are at least genuine. This movie is... it knows that it's a horror film. And not in the way that, like, it knows how to make a good horror movie, in that everybody in this fucking movie knows that they're in a horror film and acts like they're in a horror film, practically winking at the goddamn camera, being cute left and right with their shitty acting that seems like it's intentionally shitty acting, because a lot of the actors I've seen in other things and they're just fine, but in this they're delivering such shitty performances. And I hate being that guy who's sitting there talking about shitty performances and what is a slasher movie, but this movie's doing it to be cute. It's not doing it because it's in any way, shape, or form fucking genuine. It's doing it to be fucking funny. It's not fucking funny. It's fucking annoying. I can't buy any of the fucking characters in this movie because they're acting like they're a bunch of college fucking hipsters who are doing an off, like a fucking community theater fucking show, wink wink nudging their way through a fake fucking slasher movie. And I don't buy any of the goddamn characters in this movie because of that. It's fucking distracting. It's distracting when they're not even acting like fucking people. They're acting like actors who are laughing it up with their fucking friends because they're in a shitty slasher movie. And there's a huge difference between bad acting in a slasher movie and what this movie is doing. Because in this movie is not the right kind of shitty acting. In this movie, I don't know how to describe it other than the fact that it's just fucking distracting. It isn't me sitting here being pretentious about a fucking horror movie, saying that it sucks because it has bad acting. That's not it. That's not what this movie is trying to do. This movie is just trying to it's trying to force you to laugh at these people yucking it up on screen. It's like watching Eli Roth light, in that it's not as bad as fucking Cabin Fever. It's also not as bad as Cabin Fever because there are some positive things I could say about it. The effects are fine. The blood work is good. They do it. This isn't a movie where there's a bunch of CGI blood thrown everywhere. It's not that at all. There are good kills and that the effects are good, even though tonally it's all over the goddamn place. But the effects look good. When someone gets hit in the face with an axe, it looks good. When a guy's got a blender on his head, that looks good. That looks fine. The soundtrack to the movie is good too. It uses this very, very 80s synth score to it, and that's good. It belongs in a much better movie than this. The director picks and chooses where to put the music well. He was good at that. He was good at soundtrack placement. But the action in the movie takes off pretty quick. Really like 20 minutes into the movie, aside from the opening scene that showed a couple people getting killed. But really about 15-20 minutes in is when the action starts, and normally I would kind of be like, well, that's fucking hitting it kind of fast, Jesus. In this one, I couldn't stand any of these fucking characters at fucking all. It's like sitting there watching awkward-ass Dan in real life, and then suddenly it turns into a home invasion movie. Honestly, I would have liked Dan in real life better if someone just came in 20 minutes and murdered all of those horrible fuckers. This movie, you have the fucking kiss-ass brother who's, well, Dad, I got the big promotion at work. Those steaks look top-notch, Dad. I love you. Oh, big brother, are you sleeping with one of your students? That's inappropriate. And then you have the outcast brother. You have the brother who's like a teacher, but he's kind of a disappointment to his dad, and his name is Crispin. Subtle. This is my girlfriend, Heather Langenkamp. So, anyway, you're stuck in a movie with these people, and their performances are so fake and so fucking phony that when they're terrified, you don't fucking believe it, because they're just shrieking like a fucking madman, or letting themselves run outside when no one even in a shitty fucking home invasion movie, that no one would do half of the shit these people are doing. But there's one big shining light of this fucking movie. And I don't know the actress's name, but she's like the lead girl in the movie. She's the only one in this movie who's actually delivering an honest performance, who's actually carrying every scene she's in. One of the characters in this movie suddenly is like an ace fucking SEAL Team 6 commando when it comes to home invasion situations. Jesus Christ. Like, she knows exactly what to do. Like, she has seen Home Alone many times and studied it fucking front to back. Like, this chick knows what to do. She's good. She delivers an honest performance in this. She's genuine. But everyone else is just so over the top and how fucking unbelievable and bad they are that it's so distracting. The movie is tonally, it's all over the goddamn place. Because in some moments it feels like you're supposed to jump because this movie's loaded with fucking jump scares. It feels like you're supposed to jump in some parts. It feels like it's supposed to be suspenseful in parts because the music is kind of telling you it's supposed to be suspenseful. But then this is sandwiched between sequences where the violence is supposed to be so over the top that it's very funny. Actors are just yucking their way through their fucking performances. I can't even think of what are even some of the goddamn lines in this goddamn thing once the violence starts hitting. I just had to get outside. I had to get outside because I couldn't take all that blood and guts in there. I just couldn't do it. It's that. Through the goddamn movie, and characters are either just being so nonchalant that it's goddamn distracting, or they're shrieking like a fucking moron, even for a slasher movie. Like, this isn't genuine slasher movie shrieking. This is just so over the top that it's just downright goddamn cartoonish. So every now and then there would be a scene where I'm like, okay, this is actually kind of moody and a little cool, and it's usually when the main girl is doing something, like when she's setting up her booby traps and whatnot. Like, the music really works, the synth score works, her performance works, what she's doing seems like it's gonna have a pretty good setup to it, but then it's immediately followed up by one of the fucking brothers being so goddamn unbelievable in their fucking performance that it just takes me out of the goddamn movie. This is the kind of movie where someone will get killed horrifically, and then something really cute will happen that you're supposed to sit there and laugh. Like, their goofy cell phone will go off, or one of the guys in the animal mask might do something stupid. There's slapstick shit with a guy who gets an arrow in his back. It gets tripped on like a fucking tripwire. Like, it's the fucking, suddenly it's the Strangers, and then it's the fucking Three Stooges. Make up your goddamn fucking mind, movie, about what the fuck kind of film I'm watching. Am I watching a horror film, or am I watching a goddamn spoof? Because the fucking movie isn't making up its goddamn mind what the fuck it wants to be. And even if that's the goddamn intent, that it's supposed to be both, it's supposed to be suspenseful, but it's also supposed to be a comedy, it doesn't work as a comedy because it's not fucking funny, and it doesn't work as a horror film because the fucking comedic parts make everything else really not all that goddamn suspenseful. And I'm not saying you can't have fun in a slasher movie. I'm not saying that. I've seen movies like this with a sense of humor where it's kind of worked. Friday the 13th Part 6, which is one of the better ones of that series, it got to the point in that series where it kind of earned that. Jason Lives, like, earned the right to kind of poke fun at itself and do some stuff very humorously. Like, it became sort of aware of itself in that movie, but it did it well because it was genuinely funny when it was funny, but it also very much felt like a Friday the 13th movie in the parts where the autofocus goes out. In the parts where Jason is just hacking up a bunch of fucking people. Because Jason was still Jason in that movie, just people were just, he was just killing significantly goofier people this time around. Or, Cabin in the Woods had funny parts in it. That movie worked for me. I thought it was funny. And it had an intriguing enough plot. I liked that one. I did. It didn't feel at all like it was condescending or really talking down to me. It felt, it's very much the difference between something like Cabin in the Woods and something like Scream, in that Cabin in the Woods is a very in-joke horror movie that's very much geared towards people who like horror movies, whereas Scream seemed to me like it was geared towards people who don't really like slasher movies all that much and want to see a movie just kick them in the gut while they're down, point at them, laugh at them, and tell them how fucking stupid they are. And you know, I don't think that that's really the intent of You're Next, though. I just don't think it works as a horror movie, right? And I don't think it works as a comedy. I think it's trying to be cute. I do. I think it's trying to be really, like, fucking tongue-in-cheek cute about what it's doing. But I believe it's certainly made for horror fans. I do, especially with the level of gross out violence that it has. It just didn't work on me. But fuck, apparently it's working on the fucking critics in this country. My God. It's not that fucking good. It's not even really good. It has moments with the lead female character, and it has moments with the soundtrack. Other than that, well, the movie's predictable as shit, for one. That was kind of funny. This is where, for those of you who go to see this movie, this is where Brian and Letty left. Brian and Letty left seconds before it shows who the people involved with the killings are. You find out that the kind of silent brother and his Mia Wallace haircut girlfriend are in on this, and so is hipster college professor brother. They've hired these, I don't know who they fucking are. They hired these hunters, I guess, to just fucking kill off their family so they can get inheritance money. Jesus. Honestly, I would have bought it more if they just wanted them dead because they were fucking annoying. Because they were fucking annoying and unwatchable in a goddamn horror movie. In terms of horror movies, this summer, my God, go see The Conjuring over You're Next. And this movie still has a date stamp on IMDb of 2011. So was this thing fucking made 2 years ago, or is that incorrect? The movie is it has, there are a couple of moments in it towards the beginning when things were so goddamn awkward between these people, when the only times when it ever kind of worked for me in those moments where there was like one or two parts where it seemed ad-libbed, where it seemed like they just put them in a group situation and had them all kind of talking over each other. Like that at least sort of felt okay, but that's like 10 seconds in this goddamn movie. Everything else was obviously fucking scripted, and it seems like they directed these actors to act like they're in a shitty horror movie, and I don't like that. I don't. At least maybe I could think of an example where I've thought that worked, but in this one, it so fucking did not work for me. Maybe it'll work for you. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe, I can honestly see. The movie's got enough violence in it. It does. It has actresses with yes, nudity clauses. Um, it does have a lot of action in it, while I'm having a hard time grasping how this thing has a fucking 90 on Rotten Tomatoes. I I can see people who come to my site. I can see some people going to this movie and honestly probably having a pretty good time, because it certainly does have a lot of action in it. It does, and it's a hard R. It's got a lot of violence, but it did not fucking work for me. It so didn't work for me. I do need more than just pretty good violence in a movie. I don't want to sit there for 90 minutes wanting to strangle every fucking character on screen myself. I don't buy into the notion that okay, it's a fucking slasher movie, let's make every fucking character so goddamn annoying you want to see him die. I don't buy into that, because yeah, it's a slasher movie, but you still have to spend a good deal of this fucking movie with these characters. Let's have a few likable people in there, and yeah, there is the one, but sometimes that's not fucking enough. So I don't recommend this fucking movie. I've seen way worse movies this year. I have. I really have, but this movie still sucks. While this movie might not make my worst movies of the year list, might not, it still sucks. I still thought this movie was... it's a piece of shit that from a distance probably looks like a chocolate bar, but when you get closer, you gotta come to terms with the fact that this is a fucking piece of shit. So I've got nothing else to say. I should probably wrap this up, because I gotta catch a fucking train in like 6 goddamn hours, and I gotta get these videos uploaded before I catch said train. Alright. It's not like I'm gonna have it any fucking better next week. Next week is the goddamn One Direction documentary. So there's that. Okay, well, that's it for me. That's it for me. I'm gonna be gone for a few days, but I did pre-shoot a video to put up in a couple days, so you'll see something come up on the site. But anyway, all right, I'm so done talking about You're Next, and Brian probably had the best viewing experience of this movie because he only saw 45 minutes of it. So see ya.